Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to have a little chat about the upcoming Orc Codex, because there's a line in today's article that has really bugged me, and in fact I think it's been present in pretty much every single article about the upcoming Codex, just because of the exclusive side of things. So before we get started, I just want to apologise in advance if I'm unable to remove the fan noise from the background, but it's 29 degrees in the UK, well, where I am in the UK. It might not be like that everywhere, probably isn't, but that's not warm for where you are, if you're in like Texas or something, I don't know, but it's pretty warm for here. It's really hot for here, actually, and I tend to get too hot when it hits about the 16 degree mark. Really, I was born to live, it's like, what is it? Is it in Russia, the coldest place on Earth? I'd be quite happy there, that'd be fine for me. So it's fan or death. So I've chosen fan, as I'm sure you can understand. So yeah, I'll try and get rid of it. If it's still there, I apologise, and I hope you're able to power through. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Codex a little bit, because Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming and Jay from Mohawk Miniatures, there's been a video from Hellstorm Wargaming earlier today talking about the fact that there will be, for a window of time, 2 Orc Codexes. There will be the 8th edition one and the 9th edition one. Now, of course, the 8th edition one is fully compatible with 9th, but the 9th one will have all of the new shinies, all the new gubbins within it. And the problem is that, as it says in today's article, the Beast Snagger box is the only place, for now, that you can get your hands on the new Codex, with special edition cover art to boot. And that's where the issue lies. Now, the context that they were talking about over on Hellstorm Wargaming is, of course, the tournament side of things, the competitive side of things. That is where Mikey's focus lies, and of course he has a couple of events coming up, which I'll put a link in the description to the video, and just to the channel as a whole. And so, this is, like, genuinely something that needs to be thought about. If 2 Orc players rock up, and one's got an 8th edition Codex, and one's got a 9th edition Codex because he bought the Beast Snagger box, what do you do? They go into that, they talk about it, it's a good video, it's worth a watch. The thing is, my issue is just generally, I don't like that that's a thing to begin with. Like, without even getting into how do you approach it from a tournament organiser's point of view, how do you look at it from a balance perspective, how do you deal with it in terms of, one Codex having an FAQ and the other one being too new for that. Aside from all of that, the fact that the rules are, essentially behind an early access thing, not just an early access thing, a deliberately, intentionally limited supply thing. I've never liked it, but for whatever reason, this has become the point where it's just got on my nerves more than it normally does. We've, I think, briefly touched on it before. Maybe we haven't actually, but it's when one of those just little irritating things that has always been there when it comes to the way Games Workshop release certain things. These boxes being a great example. I mean, the same thing happened with the Sisters of Battle box. You buy the box, you get the Codex for everyone else. Now, the Sisters of Battle, of course, it came with a massive range refresh that replaced everything within the range completely, so maybe circumstances could be seen as being slightly different, but then again, not really, because plenty of the old Sisters of Battle stuff is still relevant with the new Codex. In this specific case, with the Orc one, again, it's that thing of just there being army-wide rules that only a select few will be able to actually use. Now, this box is full of nothing but new miniatures, nothing but new units. In that respect, yeah, you definitely need the new rules in there, or you can't use them. I get that. But, on the other hand, datasheets exist, and we get those with the instructions for assembling models. That's what happens now. And you could kind of maybe go about with just those, or, alternatively, the best solution surely would be to still put that Codex in the box, still have it be an exclusive limited edition thing, congratulations, you got the shiny cover, but also release the Codex in general at the same time. Don't have it staggered. Don't have a group of people who are able to click add to cart quicker than anyone else have rules before anyone else is able to. This isn't a case of oh, well, this box contains some new units that need new rules, therefore here's a book specifically covering those and nothing else. No, it's the Codex for the entire army. And the thing is, the Beast Snaggers box looks like it's shaping up to be a very, limited availability item again. So, from what I've been able to glean from talking to people who either are related to or work around independent retailers, there are some places that have got one copy of the box to sell. There are some that have got 4 copies. That's 3. Terrible maths. 4 copies of the box to sell, which is terrible and useless. And could you maybe supply your independent retailers to an extent where they might actually be able to do something with your products? That would be nice, Games Workshop. But it looks like this is going to be another very scarce release. Another situation whereby you want to get your hands on this thing, but the chances are you're going to struggle to do so because they've made it scarce again. The problem with that I have is the fact that the Codex is in there, and if the box is scarce, that means the Codex is scarce. And if the Codex is scarce, that means a vast chunk of the player base simply aren't allowed to have the up-to-date rules for their army. And this is the thing as well. It is the up-to-date rules for their army. If it was a case of, oh, we're still seeing previews, we're still seeing articles, there's, a good while to wait for the Codex to come out, but we're building up to it. It's all like teasing, and it'll be out soon, but, don't worry, it's on the way, and it's not like everyone else has got access to them, or anyone else has got access to the whole package. That'd be one thing, but that's not how this works. How it works is that the vast majority of the player base for an army just don't have the most up-to-date rules because they haven't been given the option to buy them. Now, if the Beast Snagger box was, say, I don't know, made to order or something, and I realise that this is not how this works because otherwise they would have to pump out God knows how many boxes in a week, and that's not going to happen, and so on and so forth, but we're just doing hypotheticals here. If it was a case of anyone who wanted the Beast Snagger box could get it, and the Codex was in there, then it might be slightly better. But only slightly. Because that would mean that those people who wanted the Beast Snagger stuff would get it, and they would get the Codex, which means a greater proportion of the Orc player base would have access to those rules. And when I say access to those rules, I know full well, you don't need to put it in the comments, I know that places exist to get the rules. We all know that. You don't need to make it clear. I'm talking official, bought from Games Workshop, you know what I mean. It would be a case that, most of the people who maybe wanted to get it would be able to. Of course, that's ignoring those who don't have the money for a full army box, but would have the money for a Codex. Really, the only solution, the most sensible solution, and the thing that would be fairest for absolutely everyone who plays any army, or indeed just collects the Codex as a whole, would be to make sure that the new Codex comes out at the same time as the box. I mean, if you get the box, congratulations, you got the shiny, cool version of the Codex with the fancy artwork on the front. Brilliant. Still put that in the box. That's fine. Because it's not locked behind the box, and it's not a case of everything in that Codex being unavailable to everyone else for however long. Now the thing is, even if it's only a week, even if it's a case of, well, last week was the Beast Snaggers, but don't worry, you can get the Codex this week. That still sucks, because that is still a significant number of people who, for that week, just don't have the capacity to use their army the way that army is supposed to be played in this edition because they didn't shell out, 125 quid, I'm assuming, for this box? I'm guessing it's going to be at that price point. It might be a little bit more, but that's my general estimation. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the new Orc Codex. I'm going to get the new Orc Codex because once the Armour Company's done, once the Soulblight Gravelords are done, the Army Company's being finished, which actually should probably take maybe a week if I really go for it, maybe a week to do the rest of the Army Company. Beyond that, I'm looking to the future, and the future looks very green. It looks very green, very mean, very fighty, and it looks like a lot of different vehicles slammed together to make a massive Speed Freaks army. And you know what? I can't wait to read this Codex, but I'm not going to be able to get hold of it until after the box has been on sale, and after a small fraction of the overall player base of Orcs have managed to read it. Not because of any sort of not because of any reason other than Games Workshop aren't releasing the Codex properly at the same time. And that's the problem. That's what bugs me. That's what gets on my nerves. And I know as well that there's always a few that are like, oh, you're not entitled to buy something they buy. No, of course not. No one's entitled to buy anything from any company. But the fact is that we do buy from them. We do depend on the rules that they make for the units that we buy from them. And you would have thought that giving access to those rules to as many players who can get their hands on them would be a better decision for those customers than making sure that it's a bit exclusive for a few people. For what reason? I mean, how many people are even buying this box specifically for that Codex? Genuinely, I would love to know how many people are going, well, I don't care about any of the actual units, I just want the Codex with the fancy picture. I'm going to guess it's not many. I'm going to guess it's really not many. And I would also hazard a guess that most people who perhaps even did think that would probably be happy with other people being able to get access to just the normal, boring Codex with the normal cover art on it at the same time as they can get their special one. I don't think anyone I've spoken to, in all the time I've been doing this, when it comes to these exclusive releases, when it comes to these boxes, when it comes to, like special stuff that's hidden away for certain people or, super limited in terms of availability, I have not met one person in my entire time of doing this channel and talking about 40k on this channel who has gone, you know what I love? You know what I absolutely... I love it when other people can't get hold of models. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. I love it when people can't get hold of codexes. It makes my day. No one thinks like that. And I mean, if you do, sort yourself out. What the hell is wrong with you? But I've never met anyone who has even close to that attitude. The prevailing attitude is we should be able to get the things that we want to get because it means we can give Games Workshop money, for God's sake. It's not that difficult. And yet, if you want to get the new Orc Codex, you're going to have to buy the fancy box. And even if the standard version of that Codex only shows up 1 week later, that's still 1 week later than it should have been. Isn't it? Really. Anyway, that's gone on for a bit. That was a bit of a rant. But you know what? It's just irritating me. I'm excited for this. And I'm accepting of the fact that I'm not going to get the Beast Snagger box. I already know that. And it's fine. It's other people can have it. I'm not going to get round to it. I know that full well. It would wait for ages. Someone else should get it now and enjoy it now and put all the models together now and actually, be able to use it. And Collector's Edition Codexes, I just don't really care about that. So that's not a consideration either. It would just be nice if more than a handful of people had access to the rules that were made specifically for this edition, all at the same time. That's all I'm asking, which really I don't think is much to ask is the main thing, is it? Anyway, that's enough of that. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Any particular thoughts, any agreements, disagreements? Do you care, do you not care? Just think it's a bit anti-consumer and a bit crappy? That's fine too. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.